If we're going to act like a bunch of Balkan countries, okay, then let us be a Balkan country and we'll just start negotiating with the United States directly as a free and independent Alberta then.
Yeah, it's so funny because he says right in there, Canadians are uniting like never before. And it's like, well, maybe
No.
you have three of the provinces on board, but where is everybody else? Because they're not united at all on this.
Right. And we've always been united on this issue. Like Alberta and Saskatchewan getting along on issues of trade and oil and gas and agriculture. That's not new. And like when there are conservatives in power in Ontario, we get along with them too. Again, not new. We're not more united. Actually, I think the divisions are greater than ever before, and they played out in the last election.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, honestly, I'm surprised to see Ontario start to join forces with Alberta and Saskatchewan. And don't get me wrong, I'm here for it. But
Odd.
Ford, he tends to be more progressive than he is conservative. So yeah, but how do you avoid Manitoba? I mean, that's right in the wedge between Saskatchewan and Ontario. So what do we do here?
Right, right. We've got a video from Poilievre who is asked about Alberta separation, and he gives a peculiar answer that I fundamentally disagree with. Now, I don't disagree with how it, okay, I'll explain. You watch and I'll tell you why I disagree with this.
Introducing the Canadian Sovereignty Act today, how often are you encountering Alberta separatism sentiment through the campaign?
Constant.
And what have those conversations been like?
Well, I'm loving the campaign. I'm having a lot of fun, actually. I love the people of Battle River Crowfoot. They are the people who feed power and protect our country, feed through the great ranchers and farmers, power through the incredible oil and gas industry, most of all the Hardisty tank farm, which moves $90 billion of energy products. That's more than the GDP of many countries, and this is a town of, 600 people. And of course, it protects our country with the people, the great men and women who serve at CFB Wainwright. So I'm having a lot of fun. I'm meeting a lot of people who are very angry about the way that the federal government has abused and mistreated Alberta. And what they're saying is the era of pay up and shut up has got to come to an end. Alberta deserves a better deal within Canada. And one of the ways we make that happen, one of the ways we unite our country, is to produce our resources. The oil and gas workers who are suffering, living in very tough conditions right now because there's just not enough work, despite the global oil boom, all they want is to get a job where they can go and make the whole country richer. So, I met a guy the other day, he's an oil and gas worker, he was doing very well up until about 10 years ago. Now he's got to split a mobile home with a friend. He's in his 40s or 50s, and he can't afford his own place, and it's because there's just not enough work. All of this is the direct result of the federal government banning oil and gas production through C-69, C-48, the energy cap, the industrial carbon tax, and we could go on and on and on. If you unlock the power of the energy sector to make all Canadians richer, I can tell you Albertans will be more than happy to continue to contribute to this country, and it would be the greatest thing we could do to unite all Canadians. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the points he raises are true about the reasons that Albertans are disgruntled. Like our gruntles have left the building. We don't have them anymore. We have been disabused of any of our gruntles. But I disagree with the statement that Albertans want to make all of Canada rich. We're done with that. We have paid more than our fair share into Confederation for absolutely nothing in return but abuse. So to say, oh, we just want to make everybody rich, you just have to get out of our way and let us, I think we're over that. That was maybe a 10-year ago, 5-year ago, maybe even 3-year ago idea of what was the Alberta mindset. I believe it has drastically shifted since then. And I find it interesting that Poilievre forgot to mention that besides I drove through Hardisty on the weekend, by the way, and it is true, little tiny town of 600 people, and it is just beautiful tank farms. You just think about just the economic wealth flowing through that town. And that was supposed to be actually the genesis of the Keystone XL pipeline that we just can't manage to get done. But yeah, we don't want to make all of Canada rich anymore. And he forgot to mention that Battle River Crowfoot is coal country. And we're not allowed to use that coal, thanks to the NDP colluding with the Trudeau government to shut down our coal resources. That is, I mean, it's billions and billions and billions of dollars being left in the ground in these communities. Good jobs being phased out, and he's not even talking about that. And I think that is also outrageous, and it fosters our anger.
Yeah, and just to hit on the other headliner here, too, people are saying, Poilievre needs to just focus his efforts on immigration, because without that being reined in pretty much immediately, or, several months or 2 years, 3 years ago, none of the other stuff matters. And so we did have this other video to show that he plans to put forward this massive omnibus vote to repeal almost all of these liberal anti-business laws, including pipeline bans, gas vehicle bans, etc. People are saying that doesn't matter because he needs to focus on immigration. And so I see
immigration is an anti-business policy at this point. Immigration is an anti-business policy. It is hurting young Canadians. It's the people who are trying to get those entry-level jobs. Those are the people being hurt. So we have a generation of people not being able to get work experience because we are importing an underclass that drives our wages down. And that has to be dealt with.
Exactly. And we have this clip here that just came in from Poilievre saying that Canada actually needs negative levels of immigration for the next few years.
Perfect. Yeah. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking my question, Keen, with Juno News. I'd like to ask about immigration.
Yes.
Nigel Farage in the United Kingdom has been quite popular recently. He might even be Prime Minister if an election was held today, with his plan to deport illegal migrants across the Channel. Donald Trump, same thing. He just launched a father-son recruitment campaign for ICE. It seems like the entire Western world, including the Liberals, have realized that out-of-control immigration is a problem, but Canada's the only country without a solution to fix it. And you don't have sovereignty without control of the borders. So I'm wondering what your plan is to fix it and get illegal migrants out of this country.
Thank you. Well, for anyone who has been deemed inadmissible needs to leave, and they need to be deported. Anyone who commits a crime while they're in Canada, they need to be immediately detained, and when their detention is complete, they need to be deported from the country. We need to track down the roughly 600 criminals that the Liberals have lost track of. That means using all our security agencies to find out where they are, to locate them, arrest them, put them on planes, get them out of Canada. We need to make it clear that anyone who commits a hate crime or an act of violence against an identifiable group that is not a citizen and not a permanent resident needs to be deported from this country. We need to get rid of the incentives for people to come here that are not real refugees. So we need a review of all the benefits that go to people who come as asylum claimants, to make sure they're not getting more benefits than Canadian taxpayers get. And those that arrive last should be their cases should be treated first, so that they know that they'll be leaving quickly. That will get the message back to the country of origin that if you come to Canada and you're not a real refugee, your case will be heard in a few weeks and you'll be back in your own country. That would, right now, there's the opposite incentive. People who are not real refugees come into Canada and they say, well, even if I'm rejected, I'll have 7 or 8 years of appeal, during which time they get all kinds of benefits.
Married.
It's very clear that the benefits wouldn't be there,
Exactly.
that they would be sent back within a couple of weeks. They wouldn't come in the first place. We need to secure our borders to stop the crossings. And more broadly on immigration, we need to bring way down the numbers of international students, of temporary foreign workers, that are flooding our markets with low-wage labor. The big corporations love it because they can drive down wages for Canadian youth who are facing unprecedented unemployment.
Yeah.
The temporary foreign worker program was not meant to drive down wages. It was meant to fill jobs that Canadians could not or would not do, particularly in agriculture. Now it's just become a full-purpose thing that, you know, Starbucks or anyone else can use to drive wages down. If they're having a hard time getting Canadian youth working, what they need to do is raise wages. So we need to cut back on the temporary foreign worker program. And finally, the overall number needs to go down. Over the next several years, we actually need more people leaving than coming. That's net negative migration. And so that's what I've said. We've got these millions of people whose visas are going to come up. When their visas run out, they're not eligible to stay. They need to be told to leave. And if they don't leave, then obviously they need to be deported. And that will allow us, our housing, health care, and jobs to catch up with the number of people in our country. Thank you.
Yeah, that is just so on point for all of the things that are needed right now to address this, really, like, this societal collapse that is just looming if this continues on the trajectory that it has been, and get this next generation entering the workforce back to having some opportunity in the country that they were born and raised in. Even looking at the youth unemployment in Ottawa specifically, 20%. The national average is almost 11%.
Yeah,
So
and
somewhere like Ottawa has double youth unemployment, where you would think it's a booming city center.
now take that and then throw on top of that the fact that 1 in 5 jobs in this country are held by someone who's not a Canadian citizen.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Um,
data is damning.
I want to, and you know, it's clear that companies are abusing this. For example, think about when the last time your oil wasn't changed by a temporary foreign worker. You know, if you're using one of the chain places, I don't want to name them, but just think about that. These are jobs that in the before times, these were like your 16-year-old automotive students down at the local high school. And this is how they would sort of get their foot in the door, get a little bit of work experience, practically apply the skills that they were learning in school. That does not happen anymore at all. At all. I was thinking about it the other day. I was getting my oil changed and I'm like, when was the last time, Sheila? And when you go and search, it's when you I did this, I searched lube, you know, like oil change, and then the LMIA program. And it's, you know, like, why are we bringing in temporary foreign workers from India to change our oil? Think about it, right? Like, it's just,
Or
anyway.
to run all of our Tim Hortons, or to run
Yeah,
all of
these are
the
kids' jobs.
A&Ws, or work
These are-
the counter
Yeah.
at McDonald's.
These are Canadian kids' jobs, like high school students' jobs.
They're not glamorous, you know. And as I interviewed Alexander Brown from the National Citizens
Coalition.
Thank you. I always accidentally want to say Inquiry, the NCI, but anyway,
Yeah.
completely separate things. And he says, like, these aren't glamorous jobs. My first job, I worked cash at Dollarama at like 15. These aren't glamorous jobs, but they are entry level positions where you get your foot in the door to get some
14 years old.
experience.
14
Yeah.
years old, the bingo coffee cart at the bingo hall, that was me. And that was when you could still smoke. Maybe that's
Inside,
where
yeah.
my love of nicotine, but as a non-smoker, came from. But I smelled like cigarettes. My skin was probably yellow. I probably had bingo fingers just from taking their money, you know, like just yellow. But that was my first job, and it taught me work ethic and
Exactly.
how to interact with different people I would never come across with in my regular life. It just sort of teaches you people skills more than anything. I feel like I already had a work ethic. I was a farm kid who wanted a job at 14, but just to interact with other people, that's an important skill that I don't think a lot of young people have these days.
Exactly. And just, yeah, it teaches you the people skills, how to handle customers, how to handle cash, which also I'm seeing so much more
They
of,
don't know
that
how
these
to count.
kids,
They don't know how to count money.
no, they can't get you back change without looking at the computer or at the till when it spits out how much you should be getting back. And these are skills that are very much needed, and we need to prioritize, once again, our youth having access to them.
Yeah.
There's another
Let's-
post here that I wanted to throw to Melissa
Go.
Landsman.
Yeah.
Is a provincial member of, the federal member of parliament, shadow minister. Is she still a shadow minister? Maybe I'm off on that one.
She's the deputy leader.
Thank you, Deputy House Leader. So here is what the Liberals won't tell you about immigration. She writes, how many crossed illegally? How many claimed asylum? How many ignored deportation, which I think official estimates, right? Estimates are anywhere from like 200 to 500,000 just missing across the country. No big deal. How many came as temporary workers? It's a pattern, and it makes you wonder why Canadians deserve answers. And this is she reposted Shadow Immigration Minister Michelle Rempel-Garner's post about the Liberals ceasing to update information regarding the number of people coming into Canada. And so she has a whole post here. It's, almost 5 minutes, so we won't go through it. But why, the bigger, broader question here is, why are the Liberals hiding these numbers?
Right. You used to be able to know these things. And I think the one that they really want to hide from us is how many people came to this country as temporary foreign workers or temporary students, and then did the old switcheroo once they got in the door, or tried to, and then just went missing in the system, who got here as working down at the lube shop, and then claimed refugee status from India, the world's largest democracy. And then now are waiting their hearing 7 years down the road, wherein they will marry a Canadian citizen, have Canadian children, who will then sponsor the entire family over from India. Yeah, and she's right. It sure makes you wonder why. And it's because they never want you to know just how bad the problem is. And Michelle Rempel-Garner has a very unique take on this, because I should tell you, she's an economist, and she used to serve as the Minister of Western Economic Diversification under Stephen Harper. So she is also someone who knows how labor market trends are adversely affected by over-immigration. And it's one of the things she talks about quite frequently. So I think Pierre Poilievre is the right woman at the job for immigration, and she's not scared to talk about this stuff. Like, the first thing they say is, you're a racist, and she's, no, these people are being criminal. They're loose in the country. She's not scared of those things, which I think is refreshing.
Yeah, she's like, thank you, next.
Yeah.
But you need somebody powerful and strong and good on this file. And whoever the latest immigration minister on the Liberal side, I can't even remember her name, Lena Diab, I think it is.
Yeah.
And she's like the 7th one in the last, 3-4 years to be put on such an important file. It's just the turnover rate of immigration ministers from the Liberals is absolutely mind-boggling.
And that woman was unimpressive right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a huge file. It is something Canadians are desperate to have somebody deal with, especially young Canadians. And she, when they're asking her about people who are in the country illegally and how are you going to get them out, she's like, well, they'll just leave. Like, she stood up in the House of Commons and said something akin to that. And it's like, if they would just leave, they would have. They would. You got to go get them. Put them on a plane. I don't even care if you send them home first class. It's got to be cheaper than keeping them here. It has to be.
If you can find them.
Right.
That's the problem, is they're just somewhere in this vast land. We just don't have any idea where they went to. And that's another thing that, Trump has been pointing out, as how lackluster Canada's systems are for keeping track of people that should not be in this country, and the porousness of our borders, because then they're coming to and fro. And there's a story just posted yesterday that the LaSalle police caught a man trying to enter Canada from the US by kayak, because there's just so many different routes that you can take to come to and from these between these countries. One of their officers made an unexpected discovery early Wednesday morning, finding a man from the US.
And it was like accidental how they found him.
Yes.
So he was,
It was
conducting commercial property checks,
Yeah.
which travels along the river's edge of the Detroit River, and they just saw a guy in a kayak with two backpacks coming from the other side. Like this is comical stuff.
Yeah. And so much for the enhanced border security when you're just stumbling upon people crossing illegally. And if, Alexa Lavoie and Lincoln Jay's reporting out there in the Quebec border were any indication, I mean, the RCMP quite literally got stuck in a ditch
Yeah.
while they're supposed to be surveying the border crossing. They have the same cameras that Lincoln and Alexa
Yes.
put up, right? So where's the action? Okay, we have all this, we're taking pictures, we're surveilling the area. Well, what are you doing with it?
Well,
Right? If
and
you can see the same stuff we can, where is the action?